No heroics into Sandoval, please.
Cheers, Jeff.
Hey guys, it's James here. Welcome back to another F1 2020 My Team Career Mode video. We are here for episode number 19 at the United States Grand Prix. If you did miss the last episode in Suzuka, be sure to go check that one out. We had a big accident in qualifying which led to a very exciting race. And before we get into this one, make sure you are subscribed to the channel with Season 2 around the corner. There's going to be a rebirth of JNS Racing for Season 2, so make sure you do hit the subscribe button. That will also help me out loads, as I'd love to become a commentator in the future. But we've got an invitational event to go to first.
Our new parts have been completed without issue. They'll be on the car ready for the next race weekend.
So here we are then for the invitational event. It's a pursuit event, so there'll be plenty of overtakes, so I will show you the overtakes that I make. They're all driving slower cars, but they all have a head start, as we're driving the 2005 Renault car, the car that won Fernando Alonso his first Formula One World Championship. The car that performed the greatest overtake, in my opinion, in history around the outside of 130R as the 5 red lights go out. And we are underway for the start of the invitational event. We need to catch all of these cars. As we head now to halfway through the first lap of this race, we've already caught up to Levasseur, the first car that we need to get past. And we go for it down the inside into turn number 10, and we have got that place and up into 4th place. As we head now onto the long straight, this is normally a DRS zone. Obviously, DRS wasn't around in Formula 1 until 2011, but we're closing a lot on Michalski. We're going to pull to the right-hand side and maybe have a think about going down the inside, but he goes so slowly in that 1991 McLaren that we swing all the way around the outside and we're up into 3rd place. Cut now onto lap 2 at the end of turn 4, where Bottas and Raikkonen had that huge accident. We're going side by side with Sari. He's in the 1991 or 1992 Williams, but we go down the inside and we're up into 2nd place with just Aitia to catch up to. And we, talking of Aitia, we are now on the 3rd lap. It's taken a little while to catch up to him, but through turns 6 and 7 and 8, he's going so slowly in that Williams car. Look how small it is compared to the modern day Formula 1 car, but we have gone round the outside into turn 10 and we have got into the lead of this pursuit challenge, and we weren't going to lose the lead from that position, and we're going to come round the final corner and complete the invitational event, which is good. That's $150,000 for the team with driver transfers around the corner. It's good to be saving up the cash. So we've got 1,000 acclaimers, which is good for sponsors as well, and we've won this invitational event, so it's time to head back to the factory. So back in the factory now, having a look at the R&D tree, potentially. Carl told me that new parts had been fitted onto the car. We're going to confirm the purchase of more resource points from the chassis, but we're going to go to qualifying for the Grand Prix in the United States. And there should be an upgrade on the way as well.
We had a major issue on the production line earlier this week, so the entire development package for this weekend has failed. Check your R&D screen to order any redevelopments.
I say the R&D part has come through. No, it hasn't. It's failed. Of course it's failed. That's a big fuel efficiency thing, which will be good for the powertrain, which is now going to come after Mexico, which is an absolute disaster. That's really, really frustrating, bitterly disappointing that we haven't got that powertrain part, but we go to qualifying for the United States Grand Prix. So here we are then for qualifying for the United States Grand Prix, as we're just going to go over and check the setup. There's nothing's changed from the golden setup. It's the setup that you seem to see every single week, but it works so well around medium speed corners. And I'm only going to show you my second lap. We head across the line, we're in P11 after our first lap, but not everyone set lap times. That's why, you know, someone like Giovinazzi, who's normally not in 13th place, He is so high up there, but we are a little bit close to Nicholas Latifi's car, and that's going to give us a bit of bad wake potentially as we head now through turns 3 and 4 before hitting the brakes for the first time in turn 5, then round turn 6, a slow right-hander. What's it through the first sector time split? We're 1.5 tenths down on our previous best, but heading through turns 7, 8 and 9, we've actually gained a lot of time. Look at that, the delta flicked from red to green, and that shows we've improved vastly on our previous time, as we're going to get a nice slipstream from Nicholas Latifi, who's currently holding the wooden spoon in this qualifying session. We're going to get a slipstream. We open the DRS. We're perhaps on a little bit under pressure from the Mercedes behind. Not the fact that he's going to overtake us, but the fact that he's going to fill our wing mirrors, and we might get a little bit we might lose a little bit of concentration as we head through the hairpin for the first time round the back of that straight. We've lost a bit of time, and we're now full 10th down. Nicholas Latifi providing really bad wake, and we go way too wide into this corner, trying to get the power down early, and we spun the car into the wall. Rear right tyre has come off, and that is the second qualifying in a row that we've crashed out of. Absolute disaster, just lit up the rear tyres. And that is us into the wall and out of this qualifying session. We will play no further part.
We're all ready for tomorrow's race, but before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who will be fronting the grid. Hamilton, Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix. Here we are then in one of the fastest growing cities in the United States, the fabulous Austin, in the great state of Texas. The circuit itself 14 miles southeast of the city centre and home to the US Grand Prix since 2012. The latest in a long list of iconic tracks to have that honour. We're racing today then in Travis County, Texas, around the 20 corners of the wonderful Circuit of the Americas. We'll be reaching speeds of around 200 miles an hour, and there are plenty of good opportunities to pass, especially through the 2 DRS zones into turn 1 and the very long back straight into turn 12. With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Albon, Leclerc, Sebastian Vettel and Ricciardo, Perez, Norris, Ocon and Pierre Gasly, Sainz, Kvyat, Valtteri Bottas, they've taken a grid penalty, and Stroll, James, Grosjean, Kevin Magnussen and Antonio Giovinazzi, Joe, Raikkonen, Russell and Nicholas Latifi. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So here we are then for the start of the United States Grand Prix. Our first lap was good enough to put us in 15th place on the grid, just tinkering around with the strategy, see if we can make a one-stop viable. But I don't think a one-stop will be as fun to race on. We have to conserve those hard tyres a lot. So I think I'm actually going to flick it back to the two-stop strategy. But we're going to go to 5 red lights for the start of the United States Grand Prix in Austin. And it is lights out and away we go. Good start from Lance Stroll, as a good start from ourselves as we sort of swap Valtteri Bottas, Stroll one side, myself the other, down into turn 1, up the hill. We go round the outside of Bottas and all the way around the outside of Daniel Kvyat as Ocon and Gasly go side by side, the two Frenchmen. We've swung it round the outside of Daniel Kvyat and up into 12th place from 15th on the grid. So it's been a great start as we head into the S section for the first time. We run a little bit wide. That might compromise our exit through turn 6 as we head through the slow left-hander, coming up to the top of the hill, still in 12th place. So it's been an excellent start. Not so good a start from our teammate. We've had a massive kick of wheel spin coming out of turn 9, and that's going to give Daniel Kvyat the run as we head into the first of the 2 consecutive hairpins. Kvyat trying to go all the way around the outside, but we fend him off. And as I was saying, it's been a very poor start from our teammate Guan Yu Zhou, who is now in 21st place after qualifying 19th on the grid. He's been passed by both Williams cars, and that is a disaster. As now in 12th place, we go down into the second hairpin, for the first time. Still trailing Esteban Ocon in his wake. Then it's Pierre Gasly. Then it's the 2 McLaren cars. We get the line all wrong through there. Cut the corner slightly. but there is no penalty because we are sufficiently far ahead from Daniel Kvyat. He was going for no sort of overtaking moves, but the big story is the championship leader is down in 14th place. He needs to get a move on, otherwise he might be under threat in the championship from both Hamilton and Max Verstappen. As Lewis Hamilton leads us across the line, so he could potentially pick up 26 points on his rival. Bottas has got to get a move on as we cut now onto a lap 2. We are right behind Esteban Ocon as we head through the first hairpin onto I think the second longest straight in Formula 1. We are using Rich Mix, using overtake. There is no DRS, but we've got such a good slipstream from the Frenchman's car. We're going to pull to the left-hand side and down the inside of Esteban Ocon we go. Fend him off. Force him a little bit wide, and we have got up into 11th place. That is a proper manoeuvre, no DRS assistance, just sheer racecraft, and we're up into 11th place. We come across the line now for the end of lap 3, and there has been a yellow flag up ahead. Valtteri Bottas, the championship leader, still in 14th place, but it's one of the Racing Points going extremely slowly through turn 1. It's Sergio Perez. So we're going to gain one position up into 10th place now. Perez out of the session. Yellow flag caused the other cars crawling through turn 2, which is normally flat out, and we are up into a net P10 now. So that is excellent as we head through the penultimate corner for the first time. Run a little bit wide. This corner always causes a lot of track limits problems. You try and use as much of the track as possible. We just got a little bit greedy there as we are going to pit potentially soon. Try and do an undercut on Gasly. 1.4 seconds is about perfect undercut territory, as he is sort of being held up a little bit by Lando Norris. But on to lap 9 we go. We are in the slipstream of Pierre Gasly. Everyone else has pitted, so we're up into 5th place. We're going to look to potentially go for a move. Gasly going so slowly. His soft tyres have obviously fallen off the cliff. We are very, very close behind the Frenchman, looking for any opportunity, and we do actually go into the pits on the end of lap 9, so that is the perfect time to undercut him. You saw how close we were, but we couldn't quite get the manoeuvre done. Gasly going to go for one more lap on those soft tyres, whilst we're going to come in for a fresh set of tyres. We're going to have such superior grip. We're going to try and use our outlap to good advantage. Fresh set of the medium compound tyres. Going to go on a little bit of a sluggish start to that pit stop. I don't know why. 2.7 seconds though. Very, very respectable stop from the crew. And we come out in 14th place. But it's imperative. We've got to get past Nicholas Latifi and Guan Yu Zhou. We've got to jump them in these pit stops. Here comes Latifi. He might try the switchback through turn 1, but we have got out ahead of Zhou and Latifi. That is imperative for our race. We cannot get stuck behind those guys. We have a look as we come across the line. Not only have we jumped Pierre Gasly's been another yellow flag up ahead. It's Lance Stroll going slowly. Lance Stroll going very slowly. The Racing Point, that's a double DNF for them. What is going on at Racing Point? That is horrendous. So we cut now on to lap 12. Giovinazzi doing an excellent job of holding up Carlos Sainz. Sainz locks up going into the hairpin, and that's going to give ourselves a run as we're going to try and open the DRS. Use Rich Mix. We've saved plenty of fuel. Trying to get into the slipstream of Carlos Sainz, who himself is going to try and overtake Antonio Giovinazzi. We get into the slipstream of Giovinazzi, pulls the left-hand side and down the inside of Giovinazzi and Sainz we go, and that's a double overtake. Unbelievable. We managed to get 2 positions there. Slightly braked a little bit too late to getting past Giovinazzi. I had no intention of getting past Sainz there, but just the way that we did that meant that we got past Carlos Sainz easily and up into 8th place. But now Sainz in our slipstream. He might potentially fancy his chances down into the hairpin on lap 15. And we're going to go side by side into the hairpin. Who's going to brake first? Sainz swings it up the inside, and he is up into 8th place. We drop into 9th place, but we are on the medium compound tyre. He is using the soft tyre, meaning he'll have to use these mediums at some point in the race. As we cut onto the end of lap 19, it's time for our second pit stop. Come into the pits on the end of this lap and strap on a fresh set of tyres. It's going to be one fast race car with a fresh set of tyres. We're very, very good on fuel. We've managed to save a lot of fuel in this medium compound stint. We're going to strap on a fresh set of the soft compound tyre. And as I say, this is going to be one fast race car. Come into the pits for the second time. Not normal for me to do the 2-stop. I normally like doing 1-stops and try and fend off other cars. 2.9 second pit stop, again very respectable, and it's the 2 Alpha Tauri cars we're going to be racing until the end now. They're on worn hard compound tyres. This is why I was slightly reluctant to use the hard compound tyre because it is just so much slower than the soft tyre. And as I say that, on lap 21, we are so close to Daniel Kvyat, almost spear into the back of him, have to slam on the brakes slightly more than I wanted to into the first hairpin, but we get a really good run. We're using overtake to get more traction, use the DRS, we pull to the left-hand side. We are up into rich mix now. We're just going to breeze past Daniel Kvyat on that straight. We got much superior traction on our fresh set of tyres, and we're up into 9th place. This would be a very good result if we can get into 8th place. As we say that now, we are fighting Pierre Gasly. We're going to try and go side by side into the final corner. This is never normally an overtaking spot, but we are side by side with Pierre Gasly, our championship rivals, AlphaTauri. Can we get past both of them in the final stint of this Grand Prix? Yes, we can. Up into 8th place. Daniel Ricciardo, 9.6 seconds up the road, is probably a little bit too far out of reach, but we are going to take 8th place, and I say that on lap 25, coming across the line. We have not really closed the gap to Ricciardo in the way that we probably could have done. This JNS racing car isn't quite as quick still as the Renault car, and he was able to get much superior track position. Norris and Ricciardo were scrapping it out. But as I say that, we weren't able to get anywhere near Daniel Ricciardo. These soft tyres sort of fell off the cliff a little bit, but we did get past Carlos Sainz as well, how we fended him off earlier, and he never managed to get past Daniel Kvyat. But back to our race, we're going to come across the line, and we're going to finish the US Grand Prix in 8th place. And we pick up a very well-deserved Driver of the Day award as well.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it. So let's review the updated driver standings. Not the result our points leader wanted, but it certainly makes things interesting going forward. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
I have to give it to James. They fought so hard and had incredible pace at times, so I don't think anyone else did a better job today.
So that was the United States Grand Prix. 4 more valuable points for the team as we try and beat AlphaTauri in the constructors' standings. And next up is the Mexican Grand Prix. And at the time of recording this commentary, I just want to say the Mexican Grand Prix has the most unbelievable finish to it I've ever had on a Formula 1 race, so I would not miss it. It's probably my favourite race I've ever raced in. The last lap is crazy. So make sure to like the video, subscribe to see twice weekly Formula 1 content, and I will catch you at the Mexican Grand Prix. Later, guys.